Man helps lost boy and freezes upon discovering he's the son of his ex-wife. Michael Johnson was walking alone along the main path of Central Park on a rainy June afternoon, trying to escape the thoughts that had been tormenting him for weeks. At 42, the architect felt the weight of loneliness like never before, especially in that place where he used to stroll with Jennifer during the happy times of their marriage. That's when he heard a desperate cry coming from the children's playground. As he approached, he saw a small boy in a yellow raincoat holding a wooden boat against his chest, completely lost and frightened. "Hey, little one, what happened?" Michael knelt down to the child's level, immediately noticing something disturbingly familiar in the boy's brown eyes. "I want my mommy," sobbed the boy, tears mixing with the raindrops running down his yellow hood. "She disappeared. I can't find her." Michael felt his chest tighten. The child's trembling voice awakened in him a protective instinct he didn't know he still possessed. "Calm down. We'll find your mother, okay? What's your name?" "Ethan," replied the boy, wiping his nose with his sleeve. "Ethan Wilson Taylor." The last name echoed in Michael's mind like distant thunder. Wilson Taylor. It couldn't be a coincidence. "And what's your mother's name, Ethan?" "Jennifer. Jennifer Wilson Taylor." The answer came in a whisper that made Michael's world completely stop. The wooden boat slipped from the boy's trembling hands and fell into the puddle at their feet. Michael stood motionless, raindrops hitting his face, as if trying to wake him from an impossible nightmare. Jennifer. His ex-wife, from whom he'd divorced 6 years ago after they discovered she couldn't have biological children. "How old are you, Ethan?" The question came out hoarse, loaded with painful hope. 5.5, replied the boy, bending down to pick up the boat floating in the puddle. "I'll be 6 next month." The numbers didn't make sense. If Ethan was 5.5, that meant he was born shortly after the divorce, but Jennifer was sterile. The doctors had been categorical. That's why... "Ethan, where do you live? Who do you live with besides your mother?" "With Uncle Robert." The child wiped his tears with the back of his hand. "He's married to Mommy now, but he doesn't like me very much. He just gets mad when I make noise." Michael swallowed hard. Robert. He knew that name. Robert Brooks, the businessman Jennifer started dating right after their separation. At the time, mutual friends commented that it was very quick, that she had married just 8 months after the divorce. "Do you know how long your mother and Uncle Robert have been married?" "Forever," Ethan shrugged. "But Uncle Robert said I'm adopted, that Mommy got me from a place for children who don't have families." The word adopted hit Michael like a punch to the stomach, so that was it. Jennifer had adopted Ethan after marrying Robert, but why didn't he know about this? Why had she never... "Mister, can you help me find my mommy?" Ethan's small, hopeful voice interrupted Michael's chaotic thoughts. "I promise I'll be good." "Of course, Ethan. Of course I'll help you." Michael extended his hand to the child, who took it with immediate trust. "Let's look for a dry place first, okay? This rain is getting too heavy." As they walked toward the park's visitor center, Michael couldn't take his eyes off the boy's profile. There was something beyond the strange familiarity, the wavy brown hair, the shape of the face, even the way he walked. "Ethan, do you remember where you were with your mother when you got lost?" "We were looking at the little fish in the lake." Ethan pointed in the opposite direction. "Then I saw a little kitten and ran after it. When I came back, Mommy wasn't there anymore." "And how long ago did that happen?" The boy shrugged again. "I don't know." "A long time. It's already dark." He looked at the cloudy sky with worry. "Mommy must be very worried. She always gets nervous when she doesn't know where I am." They reached the visitor center soaked. Michael ordered 2 cups of hot chocolate at the cafe, while Ethan settled into an armchair, taking off his wet yellow raincoat. It was then that Michael noticed the identification bracelet on the child's small wrist. "Can I see your bracelet, Ethan?" The boy extended his arm without hesitation. The engraved initials made Michael's heart race. EWT, in case of emergency. Jennifer, 11, 99876 5432. It was the same number Jennifer had 6 years ago, the same number he had deleted from his phone one night of anger and pain, but still knew by heart. "Ethan, can I ask you a question? At your house, does your mom have any old photos saved?" The boy's eyes lit up. "Yes, there's a photo she hides in the nightstand. Sometimes I see her looking at it when Uncle Robert isn't home." "What's in that photo?" "It's a man smiling on a beach. She always cries when she looks at it." Ethan sipped the hot chocolate, licking the foam mustache. "Uncle Robert doesn't like that photo. Once he took it and yelled at Mommy, but she cried so much he gave it back." Michael felt his hands tremble. He was sure he knew exactly which photo it was. The photo from their wedding in Key West on a December afternoon that seemed to have happened in a past life. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Ethan, can you tell me more about your family? What's it like living with your mom and Uncle Robert? The boy's expression visibly saddened. "Mommy is very good to me. She makes me tasty food, tells stories before bed, takes me to the park." He paused, fiddling with the little wooden boat. "But Uncle Robert, he doesn't like me very much. Why do you think that? He says I'm too much trouble, that Mommy could have found a quieter boy." Ethan's voice became even softer. "Sometimes I wake up at night and hear them fighting. He says he regrets letting Mommy adopt me." The child's words cut through Michael like knives. He couldn't imagine Jennifer, who had always been so affectionate and maternal, living in such an environment. The Jennifer he had known had always dreamed of being a mother. It was the impossibility of realizing that dream that destroyed their marriage. "And what does your mom say when he says that?" "She cries." Ethan looked at the little boat sadly. "Cries a lot. Then I pretend I'm sleeping, but I'm scared they'll send me away." Michael felt a dull anger growing in his chest. How could a man treat a child like that? And how could Jennifer allow it? "Ethan, do you remember where you came from before living with your mom?" The boy shook his head. "The shelter lady said I was very small when Mommy chose me. I only remember Mommy, really." He smiled for the first time. "She said she saw me at the shelter and knew right away I was going to be her son." "How long have you lived with her?" 3 years. Ethan counted on his little fingers. "Mommy always says it was the happiest day of her life when she took me home. 3 years. That meant Jennifer had adopted Ethan 2 years after her new marriage. Why the delay? Why had Robert agreed to the adoption if he clearly didn't want a child?" Ethan's cell phone started ringing inside the little backpack he carried. The child answered with trembling hands. "Hello?" "Ethan. Ethan, my love, where are you?" The desperate voice on the other end of the line made Michael freeze completely. It was her. It was Jennifer's voice, 6 years later. "Mommy!" Ethan began to cry again. "I got lost. I looked for you by the lake, but you weren't there. My God, Ethan, I've been looking for you everywhere. Where are you now? Are you alone?" "No, Mommy, there's a really nice man here with me. He helped me and gave me hot chocolate." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "A man? Ethan, please put him on the phone." Ethan handed the phone to Michael, who held it like it was a bomb about to explode. He took a deep breath before speaking. "Hello?" The silence that followed was deafening. Michael could almost hear Jennifer's heart beating through the line. "Michael!" The voice came out in an incredulous whisper. "Hi, Jennifer. My God. How? What are you doing with Ethan?" "I found him lost in the park. He was crying, looking for you." Another prolonged silence. "Where are you?" Her voice was loaded with an emotion Michael couldn't decipher. Surprise, fear, shame. "At the Central Park Visitor Center. Ethan is fine, don't worry." I'm coming to get him. Please don't. Just stay with him until I get there, okay?" "Of course." "Michael, thank you." And the call ended. Ethan took the phone back, looking at Michael with curiosity. "Do you know my mom?" The innocent question carried a weight Michael didn't know how to answer. "Yes, I do, Ethan. I met her a long time ago." "Cool. Then you can talk while we wait for her." Ethan went back to playing with his little boat, apparently relieved to know his mother was on her way. Michael stood up and went to the window, watching the rain that was still falling outside. In a few minutes he would see Jennifer for the first time in 6 years. The woman who had been his entire life for 10 years. The woman he still loved, even after all this time. "Uncle Michael." Ethan approached, pulling on his shirt hem. "How do you know my name?" Michael bent down, surprised. "I heard when you talked to Mommy on the phone." Ethan smiled. "It's a nice name. Uncle Michael, can you be my friend?" The child's simple, direct question deeply moved Michael. "Of course I can, Ethan. It would be an honor to be your friend." "Great, I don't have many friends." Ethan sat on the floor and began making his boat sail in an imaginary puddle. "Uncle Robert doesn't let other kids come over to the house. He says they make too much noise." Michael sat on the floor next to Ethan, watching the child play. There was a melancholy in the boy's brown eyes that shouldn't exist in a 5-year-old. "Ethan, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Are you happy?" The child stopped playing and looked directly at Michael with disconcerting maturity. "With Mommy, yes. She loves me very much." He paused. "But sometimes I wish I had a dad who would play with me, you know? Who wouldn't yell when I make noise playing." Ethan's words hit Michael hard. He himself had dreamed of being a father. He had imagined countless times what it would be like to play with a child, teach things, be present for all the important moments. "And Uncle Robert, does he ever play with you?" "No," Ethan shook his head sadly. "He only likes to work and watch television, and he doesn't like when I ask questions or when I play near him." "What kind of games do you like?" Ethan's eyes lit up again. "I like to play with my little boat, to draw, to make up stories." He held the boat tenderly. "Mommy gave me this little boat for my 5th birthday. She said when I grow up I can have a real boat." "It's a very nice little boat." Michael examined the wooden toy, noticing the care with which it was made. "Your mother has good taste in gifts." "Mommy makes the best gifts in the world," Ethan smiled. "She always knows what I want, even when I don't say it." Michael knew this quality of Jennifer well. She had always been extremely attentive to details, able to perceive others' needs even before they were verbalized. It was one of the things that most charmed him about her when they first met. "Uncle Michael, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course, Ethan. Sometimes I dream that I have a dad who takes me to the park, who plays ball with me, who tells me stories about when he was a child." Ethan lowered his voice. "Do you think it's wrong to dream about that?" Michael felt his chest tighten with emotion. "No, Ethan, it's not wrong at all. It's very normal for a child to want to have a present father." "Mommy always gets sad when I ask about my real father." Ethan fiddled with the little boat thoughtfully. "She says that sometimes families are different, but that love is what matters." "Your mother is right." Michael put his hand on Ethan's small shoulder. "Love really is what matters most in a family." Through the window, Michael saw a female figure running in the rain toward the building. His heart raced. It was Jennifer. Even wet and desperate, he would recognize her anywhere. "Ethan, I think your mother has arrived." The child jumped up from the floor and ran to the window, pressing his little face against the glass. "It's her. It's Mommy." Ethan waved frantically, even though he knew she couldn't see him. The door to the visitor center opened and Jennifer entered, completely drenched. The beige dress was stuck to her body, her brown hair dripping water, but it was the visible desperation in every gesture that most caught Michael's attention. She looked around quickly until she located Ethan. "My love." Jennifer ran and hugged her son as if the world were ending, kneeling on the wet floor without caring about her own condition. "Mommy, you're all wet." Ethan returned the hug tightly, burying his little face in his mother's neck. "I was so scared, my angel. So scared." Jennifer kissed the top of Ethan's head repeatedly, her tears mixing with the rainwater still dripping from her hair. Only then did she raise her eyes and meet Michael's gaze. Time stopped. They were the same green eyes he had loved for 10 years, but now marked by worry lines and a deep sadness that hadn't been there before. "Michael." She stood up slowly, still holding Ethan's hand. "Hi, Jen." The nickname slipped out naturally, as if the 6 years of separation had been just a nightmare. They stood there, still, looking at each other in silence. 6 years of hurt, of longing, of unspoken words hanging in the air between them. "Mommy, Uncle Michael is really nice." Ethan broke the moment, pulling his mother's hand. "He helped me when I was lost and gave me hot chocolate." Jennifer looked at her son and then at Michael, gratitude evident in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for taking care of him." "He's a very special boy," Michael replied, watching how Jennifer protectively held Ethan's hand. "Mommy, can Uncle Michael have dinner with us today?" Ethan's innocent question created an immediate awkwardness between the adults. "Ethan, Uncle Michael must have commitments," Jennifer began, but was interrupted. "Please, Mommy, he's my friend now, and I wanted to show him how my little boat floats in the bathtub." Jennifer looked at Michael with an expression that mixed apologies for putting him on the spot and a silent plea not to disappoint the child. "I need to go," Jennifer said quickly, picking up Ethan's yellow raincoat. "Robert must be worried." "Mommy, but it's raining really hard." Ethan pointed to the window. "And you're all wet." Michael observed Jennifer tremble slightly, though he couldn't tell if it was from the cold or from nerves. "Ethan is right," Michael spoke before he could stop himself. "The rain is very heavy. You should wait for it to let up a bit." "No, I need to," Jennifer began, but Ethan interrupted her again. "Uncle Michael, do you have a car? Could you give us a ride home? Mommy walked here because our car is in the shop." Michael looked at Jennifer, who seemed torn between the practical need for a ride and the discomfort of the situation. "If you'd like, I can give you a ride," he offered. Ethan clapped his hands with joy. "That's great. Then Mommy won't get any wetter." Jennifer hesitated for a few seconds before nodding. "All right, thank you." While they waited for the rain to ease up, Ethan insisted on showing Michael how his little boat worked, using a puddle that had formed near the building entrance. During the play, the child slipped and scraped his knee in the fall. "Ow!" Ethan started to cry, more from shock than from pain. Instinctively, both Michael and Jennifer knelt down at the same time beside the child. Their hands met as they both tried to clean the small scratch on Ethan's knee. The touch was electric. For a split second, it was as if the 6 years of separation had never happened, as if they were still a couple caring for the child they could never have. "Sorry," Jennifer quickly pulled her hand away, blushing. "You don't need to apologize," Michael continued, gently cleaning Ethan's wound. "It's just a little scratch, Ethan. It'll heal soon." "Thank you for taking care of me, Uncle Michael." Ethan hugged Michael spontaneously. Jennifer's phone rang at that moment, shattering the atmosphere. She looked at the screen and her face tightened with worry. "Hello?" she answered with a tense voice. "Where the hell are you, Jennifer?" The man's voice on the other end of the line was audible even from a distance. "You left 3 hours ago to look for the boy." "Robert, I already found Ethan. We're coming home." "It's about time. And next time, pay more attention to the child instead of daydreaming." Michael saw Jennifer close her eyes in pain at her husband's harshness. Ethan also heard and shrank back, clinging to Michael's leg. "We're on our way," Jennifer ended the call quickly. The rain had eased to a fine drizzle. Michael grabbed his car keys. "Shall we?" During the drive to Jennifer's house, Ethan fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the eventful afternoon. The silence in the car was thick, heavy with everything that couldn't be said. "Michael," Jennifer finally spoke, without taking her eyes off the window. "About Ethan. You don't need to explain anything to me, Jen." "Yes, I do." She turned to look at him. "You must think I lied about not being able to have children. I know Ethan is adopted. He told me." Jennifer sighed deeply. "I adopted him 3 years ago. He'd been in the shelter since he was a baby." Her voice grew quieter. "When I saw him for the first time, it was as if he were my own child. Why did you never reach out to tell me?" The question came out more hurt than Michael intended. "Because I didn't have the right." Jennifer wiped away a tear that had escaped. "Because our marriage ended because of me. Because you deserved someone who could give you real children." "Jen." "No, Michael. Let me speak." She took a deep breath. "I married Robert very quickly after our divorce. I was destroyed, lost. I needed someone who would make me forget you." Michael felt his chest tighten. "And did it work?" Jennifer laughed bitterly. It never worked. Not for a single day. They stopped at a red light. Michael took the opportunity to look at her directly. Then why do you stay married to him? Because he accepted adopting Ethan, the answer came in a whisper. Because I needed someone to sign the papers with me, because a single woman has a harder time adopting, but he doesn't seem to like Ethan very much. Jennifer clenched her fists. He regretted it afterward. He thought it would be easier. That Ethan would be a quiet child who wouldn't be any trouble. Her voice began to tremble. He blames me because Ethan is a normal child, who plays, who makes noise, who needs attention. And you allow that? I try to protect Ethan as much as I can, Jennifer defended herself. But it's complicated, Michael. Robert has a lot of money, a lot of connections. If I leave the house, he could try to take Ethan away from me. Would he do that? I don't know, and I can't risk it. She looked at her son sleeping in the back seat. Ethan is my life. He's the only good thing that happened to me after us. The light turned green, and Michael started driving again in silence, digesting everything Jennifer had revealed. The situation was more complicated than he had imagined. And you, Michael? Jennifer asked after a few minutes. Did you get married again? No. Dated? I tried a few times. Michael was honest, but I could never forget you. Jennifer turned to look at him in surprise. Michael, I know I shouldn't say this, he continued. I know you're married, that you have a new life. But I need you to know that not a single day has passed in these 6 years when I haven't thought of you. Stop, Jennifer pleaded, her voice choked. Where do you live? Jennifer gave him the address of a luxury gated community in Beverly Hills. For the rest of the drive, they remained silent, each lost in their own thoughts. When they arrived at the community, Ethan woke up to the sound of the car stopping. Are we here already? He asked, rubbing his sleepy little eyes. Yes, my love. Jennifer turned to help him with the seatbelt. Uncle Michael, aren't you coming up? Ethan asked with disappointment. I can't today, Ethan, but it was really nice to meet you. Will you come back? The child's eyes were full of hope. Michael looked at Jennifer, who averted her gaze. I don't know, Ethan. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. At that moment, a tall, well-dressed man appeared at the building's door. Robert Brooks was clearly irritated, his arms crossed and an expression of impatience on his face. Finally, he shouted from the sidewalk. 3 hours, Jennifer. 3 hours to find a child in a park. Ethan shrank back in the back seat of the car upon hearing his stepfather's aggressive tone. Robert, please. Jennifer got out of the car quickly. Ethan was scared. I couldn't just... And who is this? Robert interrupted, noticing Michael behind the wheel. It's Uncle Michael. Ethan got out of the car and ran to hide behind Jennifer's legs. He helped me when I was lost. Robert narrowed his eyes, studying Michael with suspicion. Michael Johnson. Michael got out of the car and extended his hand politely. Johnson? Robert repeated the last name, ignoring the outstretched hand. That name sounds familiar. Jennifer looked visibly tense. Robert, let's go up. Ethan needs a warm bath. She tried to change the subject. Johnson. Robert continued thoughtfully. Then his eyes widened with understanding. You're her ex-husband. The accusation echoed in the air like a gunshot. Ethan looked confusedly from one adult to the other, not understanding the sudden tension. Robert, Jennifer began but was cut off. How convenient. Robert laughed bitterly. You disappear for 3 hours and come back with your ex-husband. What an incredible coincidence. It wasn't like that. Michael tried to intervene. I found Ethan by chance. He was lost and you thought it was your obligation to play happy family. Robert advanced aggressively toward Michael. Uncle Robert, stop. Ethan began to cry, frightened by the violence of the argument. Uncle Michael, help me, he's my friend. Friend? Robert laughed scornfully. You don't need friends like him, boy. Robert, stop this in front of the child. Jennifer finally exploded, putting herself protectively in front of Ethan. Don't tell me what to do, Jennifer. Robert pointed his finger at her. Especially after you show up here with this... Watch your words, Michael interrupted, his voice low but full of warning. Or what? Robert turned to face him. Gonna hit me in front of your ex-wife? Gonna impress her with your masculinity? Ethan was sobbing, clinging to Jennifer's leg, completely terrified by the argument. That's what made Michael back down. Ethan. Michael knelt to the child's level. Everything will be all right, okay? No need to cry. Are you leaving? Ethan asked between sobs. For now, yes. Michael looked at Jennifer, who had tears in her eyes. But remember what we talked about, okay? You're a very special and brave boy. Ethan nodded, still crying. Michael stood up and walked back to the car, but was stopped by Robert's voice. And don't think about coming back here. This family doesn't need you. Michael stopped, took a deep breath, and turned around. This isn't your family, Robert, he said calmly. It's just a frightened child and an unhappy woman you keep prisoner. How dare you? Daddy, stop! Ethan suddenly shouted, running to Michael and clinging to his legs. Don't fight with Uncle Michael, he's good. The world stopped. Ethan had called Michael Daddy. The word echoed in the air like thunder, leaving all the adults speechless with shock. Jennifer brought her hand to her mouth, her eyes wide. Robert turned purple with anger. And Michael? Michael felt as if his heart would burst with pain and joy at the same time. Ethan, Jennifer whispered. I don't want him to leave. Ethan continued crying, holding on to Michael. He's nice to me. He doesn't yell. Robert took 2 steps toward them, his face twisted with fury. Boy, you come here right now, he ordered in a threatening voice. No! Ethan clung tighter to Michael. I don't want to. You only know how to yell. Ethan, come with Mommy. Jennifer tried to calm the situation, reaching out her hand to her son. Only if Uncle Michael comes too. Ethan bargained through tears. That's not happening, Robert said categorically. Then I'm not going. Ethan threw himself on the ground, clutching Michael's leg as if his life depended on it. Michael looked at Jennifer, then at Robert, and finally at Ethan. The situation was completely out of control, but one thing was clear. That child needed protection. Ethan, Michael knelt again. You need to go with your mother now, but I promise we'll see each other again, okay? Do you really promise? Ethan looked at him with eyes red from crying. I promise. Michael held the small hands. But now you need to be brave and take care of your mother, okay? She needs you. Ethan looked at Jennifer, who was clearly shaken, and nodded reluctantly. Okay. He got up and walked to his mother. But I don't like him, he said, pointing at Robert. Ethan, Jennifer scolded gently. But it's true, Mommy, Ethan insisted. He's mean to me. Robert was trembling with anger. Go up to the house. Now, he ordered sharply. Robert, Jennifer began. Now, Jennifer, and you, he pointed at Michael, get out of my sight before I call security. Michael got in the car without another word, but before leaving, he rolled down the window. Jennifer, he called. She approached, leaving Ethan with Robert. If you need anything, he extended a card with his number. Anything, call me. Jennifer took the card with trembling hands. Michael. Take care of him. Michael looked at Ethan, who was being led by Robert toward the building. And take care of yourself too. Michael left with a shattered heart, Ethan's words echoing in his mind. Daddy. A word he never thought he'd hear, spoken by a child he had just met but already loved as if he were his own son. 2 weeks passed without any news. Michael tried to resume his normal routine, but it was impossible to get Ethan and Jennifer out of his head. Several times he picked up the phone to call, but always gave up. What right did he have to interfere in their lives? It was on a rainy Wednesday that the phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Uncle Michael? The small, sad voice was unmistakable. Ethan, how did you get my number? I took the card you gave to Mom, Ethan whispered. Uncle Michael, can you come get me? Michael's heart raced. What happened, Ethan? Where's your mother? Mom is crying in her room, Ethan said quietly, as if afraid of being heard. Uncle Robert left home and took his suitcases. They had a really bad fight tonight. Where are you now? In the kitchen, but I'm scared, Uncle Michael. Mom won't stop crying and I don't know what to do. Michael was already grabbing his car keys. "Ethan, listen carefully to what I'm going to say. You go to your mother and tell her I'm on my way, okay? And don't leave her side. You're really coming? I'm leaving home now." Michael drove like never before, his heart beating out of rhythm. When he arrived at the condominium, Ethan was waiting in the lobby with the doorman. "Uncle Michael!" The child ran into his arms. "What are you doing down here, Ethan?" "The doorman said I couldn't stay alone upstairs with Mom crying." Ethan clung to him. "He said he was going to call someone if you didn't get here soon." Michael thanked the doorman and went up with Ethan to the apartment. The door was slightly ajar. When they entered, they found Jennifer sitting on the living room floor, hugging a pillow, crying uncontrollably. "Jen," Michael approached slowly. She lifted her face, her eyes red and swollen. "Michael, what are you doing here?" "Ethan called me." He knelt beside her. "What happened?" Jennifer looked at her son, who was standing in the doorway watching the scene. "Ethan, go play in your room for a little while. Mom needs to talk with Uncle Michael." "But Mom—" "Go, sweetheart. Everything is fine now." Ethan obeyed reluctantly. When he left the room, Jennifer broke down in tears again. "He left me," she managed to say between sobs. "Robert left me. Because of me." "Not only," Jennifer wiped her face with the back of her hands. "Because of Ethan, too. He said he's tired of playing house with a family that isn't his, that I never really loved him. And is he right?" Jennifer looked directly at Michael. "About me not loving him? Yes," she admitted without hesitation. "I never managed to love Robert, Michael. Not even for a single day." "Jen, I married him out of desperation," she continued, "because I couldn't live with the guilt of having destroyed our marriage. Because I thought if I built a new family, if I adopted a child, maybe the pain would go away." "And did it?" "It got worse," Jennifer laughed bitterly. "Because every time I looked at Ethan, I thought about how perfect it would be if he were our son. Every time he did something cute, I wanted to share it with you. Every time he got sick, I wanted you to be there to help me." Michael felt his eyes welling up. "Why did you never look for me?" "Because I was sure you hated me," Jennifer finally faced him. "Because I thought you had moved on, that you were happy without me. Because I had no right to come back into your life after throwing our marriage away." "You didn't throw our marriage away, Jen. We both gave up." "I gave up first," she insisted. "When the doctor said I would never be a mother, I shut down. I stopped talking to you, stopped sharing my feelings, locked myself in my own pain." "And I let you lock yourself away," Michael admitted. "Instead of fighting for us, I just accepted that our marriage was over." They stayed silent for a few minutes, the weight of 6 years of regret hanging between them. "And now?" Jennifer asked. "Robert wants a divorce. He said he will fight for custody of Ethan." "Can he do that?" "I don't know." Jennifer began to cry again. "He has a lot of money, a lot of lawyers, and I only have my love for Ethan." "You have more than that." Michael held her hands. "You have 3 years of total dedication to that child. You have his unconditional love. No judge will take Ethan from you." "What if they do?" The fear in Jennifer's voice was palpable. "What if I lose my son, Michael?" "You won't lose him." He pulled her into a hug. "I won't let that happen." Ethan appeared in the living room doorway at that moment, carrying his little wooden boat. "Mommy, did you stop crying?" he asked in a small voice. "I did, my love." Jennifer moved away from Michael and opened her arms for her son. "Come here." Ethan ran into his mother's lap, but then looked at Michael. "Uncle Michael, are you going away again?" "What do you want me to do, Ethan?" "I want you to live here with us." The answer came without hesitation. "To take care of Mommy when she's sad, and to play with me when I'm alone." Jennifer and Michael looked at each other. The child's simplicity and honesty cut through all the complications of the situation. "Ethan," Jennifer said softly, "things aren't that simple." "Why not?" Ethan asked with genuine curiosity. "You like each other. I like both of you. And now Uncle Robert is gone. What's complicated?" Ethan's innocent logic made perfect sense. Why was it so complicated anyway? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. "Ethan, Michael stood up and went to them. "I can stay tonight to take care of you, but then I need to go home." "Why?" How to explain to a 5-year-old the fears, the insecurities, the weight of the past? "Because your mother and I need to talk about many things first," Michael tried. "Then talk," Ethan said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Jennifer laughed for the first time that night. "He's right," she said to Michael. "Maybe it's time we really talked." They ordered pizza for dinner. Ethan insisted that Michael sit next to him at the table, and throughout the meal he excitedly talked about his drawings, his toys, his favorite stories. It was as if he had finally found someone who was genuinely interested in what he had to say. After dinner, Ethan asked Michael to put him to bed and tell him a story. "What kind of story do you want to hear?" Michael asked, helping Ethan into his pajamas. "A family story," Ethan replied, brushing his teeth. "A story about a boy who finds a father and a mother who love each other." Michael looked at Jennifer, who was standing in the bedroom doorway watching the scene. "Know any stories like that?" she asked. "I know one." Michael sat on the edge of the bed. "Once upon a time there was a man who thought he would never be a father. He was sad because he always dreamed of having a son to love and care for." Ethan snuggled under the covers, his eyes shining with interest. "So what happened?" "One day on a rainy afternoon, he found a very special boy, a brave, smart and caring boy who needed a father." "Like me?" Ethan smiled. "Exactly like you." Michael smoothed the child's hair. "And the man discovered he didn't need a son who came from his blood. He just needed a son to love." "And did the boy want a father too?" "Very much. The boy dreamed every night of a father who would play with him, protect him, and love him forever." "And did they stay together?" Michael looked at Jennifer again. She had tears in her eyes. "They're figuring out how to stay together," he answered honestly. "Sometimes families need time to find each other." Ethan thought for a moment. "Uncle Michael, do you love me?" The direct question took Michael by surprise. He looked at that child who had come into his life just 2 weeks ago and changed everything. "I do, Ethan. I love you very much." "And I love you too." Ethan got up and hugged Michael tightly. "You're the father I always wanted to have." Michael felt tears streaming down. He hugged Ethan as if he would never let go. "And you're the son I always dreamed of having." Jennifer left the room crying. Michael put Ethan to bed, kissed his forehead, and went to look for her. He found her on the balcony, watching the lit-up city below. "Jen?" "I'm sorry." She wiped her tears quickly. "It's just seeing you two together. It's like a dream I didn't even know I had." Michael approached and stood beside her on the balcony. "Ethan is an amazing child." "He never opened up like that to anyone," Jennifer commented. "Not even to me at first. It took months for him to trust me completely." "And with Robert?" "It never happened." Jennifer shook her head. "Robert always treated him like a stranger living in his house. Ethan learned to tiptoe around so he wouldn't be a bother." "And how did you allow that?" The question came out more aggressive than Michael intended. Jennifer turned to face him. "Because I was afraid," she admitted. "Afraid that Robert would give up on the adoption. Afraid of being alone with Ethan. Afraid I couldn't support us both." "Did you work?" "No. Robert wanted a wife dedicated exclusively to the home and family." Jennifer laughed bitterly. "Ironically, he hated the only family we had." "And your parents, couldn't they help?" "My parents never approved of the adoption," Jennifer sighed. "They thought I was being hasty, that I should focus on having biological children with Robert." "Even knowing you couldn't?" "They insisted I try treatments, fertilization, anything." Jennifer leaned on the balcony railing. "They never understood that I didn't want to go through all that again. They never understood that Ethan was enough." Michael stayed silent, absorbing all the information. Jennifer's situation was much more complicated than he imagined. "And now?" he asked. "What will you do?" "I don't know," she confessed. "I don't have a job. I don't have money. I have nowhere to go. The apartment is Robert's, the car is his. Even Ethan's clothes were bought with his money." "What's your degree in?" "I have a degree in education." Jennifer smiled sadly. "I always wanted to work with children. It was my dream to teach or work in a daycare." "Why didn't you ever work?" Robert wouldn't allow it. The answer came filled with bitterness. He said his wife didn't need to work, that it would be humiliating for him to have a working woman. Michael felt anger growing. He couldn't understand how a man could be so controlling. "Jennifer, can I ask you a very personal question?" "Go ahead." "Do you still love me?" She remained silent for a long time, her eyes lost in the city lights. "I never stopped loving you," she finally whispered. "Not a single day in these 6 years." "Then why didn't you fight for us?" "Because I thought you'd be happier without me." Jennifer turned to look at him. "Because you always wanted to be a father, and I could never give you that." "But you can." Michael pointed to the room where Ethan was sleeping. "Ethan is right there, needing a father who truly loves him. He's not your biological son, Michael." "So what?" The reply came out louder than he intended. "He's a wonderful child who needs love. What else matters?" Jennifer studied him with surprise. "You really care about him?" "I care for him as if he were my own son," Michael was honest. "From the first moment I saw him crying in the park, I felt something I had never felt before. A need to protect him, to take care of him, to make him happy." "And with me?" The question came out in a thread of a voice. "Do you still feel anything for me?" Michael moved closer to her, stopping just inches away. "Jen, you're the only woman I've ever truly loved, the only one I could imagine growing old with, raising children, building a life. Even after everything that happened, especially after everything that happened," he held her face delicately, "because now I understand that true love doesn't give up at the first difficulty, and I gave up on us too easily." Jennifer closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I missed you so much," she confessed. "Every day, every night, even when I was with Robert, it was you I wanted to hold." "Then let's try again." Michael rested his forehead against hers. "All 3 of us. A real family this time." "What if it goes wrong again?" "It won't." Michael gently kissed her lips. "Because this time we're going to fight for our dreams, not give up on them." The kiss was sweet, filled with 6 years of longing and regret. When they separated, Jennifer was smiling for the first time in a long while. "Michael, I need to sort things out with Robert first. The divorce, Ethan's custody." "We'll sort it out," he corrected. "Together. You won't go through this alone again. He has a lot of money, a lot of influence. And we have something he'll never have," Michael interrupted. "We have Ethan's unconditional love. Any judge will see that." They went back inside and sat on the sofa, talking late into the night about plans for the future, about how to rebuild their lives, about how to be a family. "Michael," Jennifer said when it was almost 2 in the morning, "thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on us, for saving Ethan in the park, for being here now when I need you most." "Thank you," he kissed her forehead, "for giving me the chance to be a father, for bringing Ethan into our lives." "Are you going to sleep here tonight?" Michael hesitated. "If you want me to." "I do," she smiled. "And Ethan does too. He'll be so happy when he wakes up and sees you're still here. Then I'll stay." The next morning, Ethan woke up early and ran to his mother's room. When he saw Michael sleeping on the living room sofa, his eyes filled with joy. "Uncle Michael, you didn't leave," he shouted, jumping on top of him. "Shh," Michael laughed, hugging the boy. "Your mother is still sleeping. Are you going to live here now?" Ethan asked, full of hope. "We'll see, Ethan. Things are a bit complicated right now." "Because of Uncle Robert?" Michael was surprised by the child's perceptiveness. "You know what happened yesterday?" "I know he left and isn't coming back," Ethan said without showing any sadness. "And I'm happy because now you can take his place." "Ethan, Uncle Michael, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "I never liked him," Ethan confessed in whispers. "He was mean to Mommy and me. Sometimes I pretended you were my real father so I could fall asleep." Ethan's words touched Michael deeply. "And what was it like having a real father in your dreams?" "It was cool," Ethan smiled. "You took me to the park, played with me, helped me with my toys, gave me goodnight kisses. Just like you did yesterday." "Just like I did yesterday," Michael repeated, moved. Jennifer appeared in the living room at that moment, still in her pajamas with messy hair. "Good morning." she smiled, seeing the two talking on the sofa. "Mommy, Uncle Michael didn't leave." Ethan ran to hug his mother. "He slept here with us." "I know, sweetheart." Jennifer kissed the top of her son's head. "How about we have breakfast together?" "Like a real family?" Ethan asked hopefully. "Like a real family," Jennifer confirmed, looking at Michael affectionately. During breakfast, Ethan wouldn't stop talking about all the plans he had made during the night, for when Michael would move in with them permanently. He wanted to introduce all his toys, show his drawings, tell all his stories. "Ethan," Jennifer said gently, "Uncle Michael needs to work, needs to take care of his things. He can't be here all the time." "Why not?" Ethan asked sincerely. "He can bring his things here." "It's not that simple, my angel." "But I can help," Ethan insisted. "I can share my room with him." Michael laughed at the suggestion. "Thank you for the offer, Ethan, but I think I'll need a bigger bed than yours." "Then you can sleep in Mommy's bed," Ethan suggested innocently. Jennifer blushed deeply. "Ethan?" "What?" The child didn't understand the embarrassment. "Husbands and wives sleep together. I saw it on television." "But Uncle Michael and I aren't married," Jennifer explained. "Why not?" The simple question left both adults speechless. Why not indeed? The phone rang at that moment, breaking the mood. Jennifer answered, and her face immediately tightened. "Robert," she whispered to Michael before responding. "Hello?" "Jennifer, I need to talk to you. I'm coming down to pick up some things I forgot." "Now?" "Now." His voice was harsh. "And it's better if your little friend isn't there, if you know what I mean." The line went dead. Jennifer turned pale. "He's coming here," she told Michael. "Wants to get things he forgot. And wants me to leave," Michael completed. "Michael?" "No." He was categorical. "I won't leave you alone with him, especially not after how he treated Ethan yesterday. But he might cause trouble." "Let him." Michael stood up. "I'm not leaving here." "Uncle Michael, are you staying?" Ethan asked, sensing the tension. "I am, Ethan. I won't leave you alone." 15 minutes later, Robert arrived accompanied by 2 large men, clearly bodyguards or security. "Jennifer, open this door," he ordered, banging loudly. Jennifer opened it with trembling hands. Ethan immediately hid behind Michael. "You can't come in here with these people," Jennifer said, trying to sound firm. "It's my house." Robert pushed the door open and entered, followed by the 2 men. "I go where I want." His eyes immediately found Michael. "You. Didn't I say yesterday I didn't want you here?" "And didn't I say I wasn't leaving?" Michael responded calmly, but keeping Ethan protected behind him. "Robert, please," Jennifer intervened. "Ethan is scared. Get your things and leave." "My things include the boy," Robert announced coldly. "Ethan is coming with me." "What?" Jennifer turned white. "No, you can't." "Yes, I can. I'm his legal adoptive father, and I won't let my son be raised by an adulterous woman." "I'm not adulterous," Jennifer shouted. "You're the one who left me." "After catching you with your ex-husband," Robert retorted. "What judge would grant custody of a child to a woman under these conditions?" Ethan started crying, terrified. "Mommy, I don't want to go with him," he sobbed. "Please don't let him take me." "No one is taking you anywhere." Michael stepped firmly between Robert and the child. "Get out of my way." Robert signaled for the bodyguards to approach. "They won't lay a hand on a child," Michael warned, his voice low but threatening. "Especially not in front of me." "Yours?" Robert laughed. "This child is nothing to you. He is my dad," Ethan screamed through tears. "Uncle Michael is my real dad." "Shut your mouth, boy." Robert became enraged. "You don't have a father. You're an orphan nobody wanted." The cruel words hit Ethan like punches. The child broke down in convulsive sobs. "How dare you say that to a child?" Michael advanced toward Robert, but was stopped by the bodyguards. "I'm speaking the truth," Robert continued, blind with anger. "This brat is nobody's son. He's just a burden who—" He didn't finish the sentence. Jennifer had slapped him across the face, the sound echoing throughout the apartment. "Get out of my house," she said, with a firmness nobody expected. "Now." "Jennifer." Robert brought his hand to his face, surprised. "Now!" she shouted. "And don't ever come back. Ethan is my son, mine alone, and you will never come near him again." "You'll regret this," Robert threatened. "Robert, I'll destroy you in court." "Try," Jennifer challenged. "It'll be you against a mother fighting for her son. We'll see who wins." Robert looked around, realizing he had lost control of the situation. He signaled to the bodyguards and walked toward the bedroom. "I'll get my things and then you'll never see me again," he said with contempt. "And when I win custody of this child, I won't let you anywhere near him." "Ethan isn't a thing you can win or lose," Michael intervened. "He's a human being with feelings and opinions. And his opinion doesn't matter. I'm the legal father." "You were never his father," Jennifer said firmly. "A father is someone who loves, who cares for, who protects. You just signed papers." Robert came out of the bedroom with a suitcase, walked past them without another word, and left, slamming the door. Ethan was trembling in Michael's arms, still sobbing. "Is he going to take me away from Mommy?" he asked in a frightened voice. "Never." Michael kissed his head. "I won't let him. Promise?" "I promise." Michael looked at Jennifer. "We promise." Jennifer joined the embrace, and the three stayed like that for long minutes, finding comfort in each other. "Jen," Michael said after Ethan had calmed down, "we need to find a lawyer today. We don't have the money for—" "We do," he corrected. "We're a family now. What's mine is ours." Jennifer looked at him with gratitude. "Michael, we'll fix this," he assured her, "and we'll do it right this time. We'll get married. I'll adopt Ethan officially, and we'll be a real family." Ethan stopped crying immediately. "You're getting married?" he asked with shining eyes. "If your mother wants to," Michael smiled. "I do," Jennifer answered without hesitation. "Of course I do." Ethan started jumping for joy. "I'm going to have a real dad, a dad who loves me." "You already do, Ethan," Michael hugged him. "You have since the very first day we met." In the month that followed, the legal battle was intense. Robert did try to get custody of Ethan, claiming Jennifer was an unfit mother. But the child was heard by the judge and made it very clear he wanted to stay with his mother and with Michael. The divorce process was complicated, but Michael hired the best lawyers and fought alongside Jennifer at every hearing. The truth about Robert's abusive relationship came to light, including the financial and psychological control he had over Jennifer. Ethan began therapy to overcome the trauma of the shouting and threats, but with the love and care of Michael and Jennifer, he recovered quickly. He became a happy and confident child again. Michael and Jennifer got married in a small civil ceremony, with Ethan as the best man. At the ceremony, the boy insisted on giving a speech. "I want to thank Uncle Michael for saving me in the park that day," he said in his clear little voice, "and for saving my mom too. Now we're a real family and I have the best dad in the world." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. The process for Michael to adopt Ethan was approved 6 months after the wedding. The day they left the courthouse with the signed papers, Ethan held his parents' hands and said, "Now am I really Ethan Johnson?" "Really," Michael confirmed, kneeling to be at the child's eye level. "Ethan Johnson, my son forever." "And you're my dad forever?" "Forever, and one more day." Ethan hugged Michael with all the strength of his small arms. "I love you, Dad. And I love you, son." Jennifer watched the scene with tears of happiness streaming down her face. After so many years of pain and loneliness, she had finally found her family. 1 year later, they moved to a bigger house, with a backyard where Ethan could play freely. Michael taught the boy to ride a bike, to play soccer, to make paper boats. Jennifer went back to work, getting a job at a daycare where she could use her education degree. Ethan became an even happier and more secure child, knowing he was unconditionally loved by his parents. He never had nightmares about arguments or shouting again. His home was always full of laughter, conversation, and play. In his bedtime prayers, Ethan always thanked God for putting Michael in the park that rainy day, and Michael, in turn, thanked God every day for hearing the cry of a lost child and having the courage to help. Because sometimes the most important encounters of our lives happen at the most unexpected moments. And sometimes a family is formed not by blood, but by the pure and unconditional love that binds hearts together. Jennifer never felt guilty again for not being able to have biological children. Ethan was her son in every way that mattered. And Michael discovered that being a father had very little to do with genetics and everything to do with love, dedication, and presence. One Sunday afternoon, 2 years after that meeting in the park, the three were playing in the backyard when Ethan asked a question. "Dad, do you remember the day you found me in the park?" "Of course I remember, Ethan. How could I forget the most important day of my life?" "Was it the most important day of your life?" "It was," Michael smiled, "because it was the day I found my family." Ethan thought for a moment. "You know what, Dad? I don't think I got lost that day." No, I think I found myself." Michael hugged his son, his heart overflowing with love. "You're right, Ethan. We all found ourselves that day." And that's how a rainy afternoon in a park transformed 3 lives forever. How a lost child found a family. How a lonely man discovered the true meaning of being a father. And how a broken woman found that true love always finds a way back. Ethan grew up knowing he was deeply loved, that he had parents who would do anything for him, that he had a family where he could be himself without fear of judgment or shouting. And most importantly, he grew up knowing that sometimes angels appear in our lives when we least expect them, disguised as strangers, willing to help a lost child on a rainy afternoon. The end of the story. So, what did you think of this touching story? Were you able to feel all the emotion of the reunion between Michael and Jennifer through little Ethan? Tell us in the comments if you believe that true love always finds a way to return, and if you've ever had an unexpected encounter that changed your life. Don't forget to leave your like if the story moved you, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional stories like this one.